This is KVUE News Daybreak.
Severe thunderstorm watch is still in effect for our viewing area, and a flash flood watch. I'll let you know how that will impact your morning.
Everyone knows parking in downtown Austin can be a challenge. What the city's now considering that could make things a whole lot easier.
Unfriendly skies and a PR disaster. A passenger on board a United flight being forcibly dragged off after refusing to give up his seat. So was this legal, and do you know your rights?
Good morning to you, and thank you for joining us for KVUE News Daybreak. I'm Brian Mays.
And I'm Yvonne Nava. It is Tuesday, April 11th.
Some parts of central Texas saw some severe weather overnight. These pictures from the Waco area where a roof of a golf course clubhouse was damaged by the rain. But Erica, looks like we were spared for the most part here in the Austin area overnight.
That's right. The downtown Austin area and much of Travis County has been quite quiet, but we're just sandwiched in by two areas that are battling some severe thunderstorms as we speak. So we've been tracking this cold front. It's slowly stalled out in our viewing area. Believe it or not, still bringing in some severe storms again just to the north of us in Bell County, and also keeping an eye on this storm, which still is severe warn. We're keeping an eye on this cell because it continues to push east and could potentially make its way into southern Hays County. But as of now, looks like the storm has slowly weakened in the last couple of scans. It does have the history of producing some hail and also a decent amount of rainfall. That's exactly why a flash flood warning is associated with that cell also. So again, we still have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 7 a.m. The good news is that Travis County and Austin has managed to dodge all of the activity that we've seen the past several hours. Flash flood watch still in place for 7 a.m., keeping you guys updated. So I'm going to talk hour by hour what we can expect in your full forecast. You're going to want to stick around. I'll also break down the rest of the work week and let you know what we can plan for that. Guys, back to you. Traffic, excuse me, I was kidding.
We're ready. Hey, we're ready whenever you're done. You just tell us.
All right, the roads are looking good. Hey, the weather, good news, it did dodge the majority of us here across the Austin metro area because now we don't have that much mess to be concerned about here this morning. Drive times are looking good. No issues out there. A lot of green popping up on our graphics. If you're commuting this morning from Butte to downtown, about a 15-minute commute. And that's the same story from Round Rock to downtown, 16 minutes for you guys. Traveling from 35 to ABIA, only 5 minutes, and 9 minutes from 130 to I-35. All right, guys. Now, really back to you.
I love it. All right, thank you. Well, 5:02 is your time, and happening today, the city will consider ways to reduce parking congestion in the downtown area. KVUE's Corey Coffin joins us live downtown this morning. And Corey, what are some of the possible solutions?
Well, the Urban Transportation Commission has considered several possibilities on what they might be able to do. Tonight at their meeting, they'll consider extending parking meter hours for parts of downtown. So let me explain where this all came from. We have consultants here in the city when it comes to parking who have been talking about ways to alleviate the congestion. They have done a study and offered up several solutions last week. They recommended restructuring how drivers pay for parking and where they park. One of the company's biggest recommendations is raising parking rates based on demand. Nelson Nygaard Consulting Associates says that the city should be pricing meters high enough that 85% of them are in use per block with about 15% available space. That means about 1 or 2 spaces per block available for people to park in. The firm explained that that's how airplane tickets, houses, and even cell phone bills work. It also means that prices would be higher during peak periods and in the most trafficked areas. For example, the city has identified between 10th and Lady Bird Lake and I-35 to Lamar. Now, cities like Seattle and San Francisco have similar parking systems in place right now. And it's worth noting as well, the consulting firm also recommended that the city share parking spaces with private companies who might have some open spaces available. And that might make it more affordable and make it more easy for people to find parking not on the street but off the street. Tonight, though, they will only be considering extending the parking hours. That'll be the very first step for some of those meters. That'll run on Wednesdays specifically. So now on Wednesdays, parking meters will run from 8 a.m. until midnight. Live in downtown Austin, I'm Corey Coffin for KVUE News.
Corey, thank you for that. A sense of relief for many employees in the Blanco Independent School District this daybreak. School board officials say they're cutting fewer jobs than expected. On Monday, board members announced they'll cut 1 job instead of 17. The cut has to happen because the district's getting less money from the state. Back in 2006, the state legislature cut property taxes but put a put in place a program to make sure schools wouldn't lose funding. But then in 2011, lawmakers voted to repeal that program. While a solution has been reached, district officials tell us it was only possible because 12 teachers willingly took retirement packages. That means the district will have 13 fewer teachers this coming school year.
Now, they chose not to. Sure. They chose to resign. But, yeah, it's going to affect their programs. I mean, those instructional slots have been absorbed by other teachers. It's a lot. This was significant. This is significant for our school district. Yes, sir, it is.
Blanco ISD Superintendent Buck Ford also tells KVUE this decision is meant to completely remove the county's reliance on state funding so they won't ever wind up in a position like this again.
Well, this morning, officials at 2 Austin area schools are investigating threats posted on social media. Police arrested one student from Bailey Middle School accused of making a threat toward the campus on Sunday. Officials made the decision to not cancel classes on Monday, and the principal sent a letter to inform parents about the incident. Leander ISD officials are also working with authorities. They say Vandergrift High School received anonymous alerts on an alleged threat made over the weekend. According to a letter sent out to parents, some students reported a post that showed a fellow student with weapons. The principal says a detective went to the student's home to evaluate the situation and is reassuring families that there is no credible threat towards students and staff. 3 foreign nations are standing together in the wake of last week's missile attacks launched by the United States against Syria. Russia and Iran now backing Syria, accusing the U.S. of crossing a red line. But the U.S. is not taking these accusations lightly. As these images show, jets are now taking off from that same Syrian base where 59 missiles hit. The strikes came after U.S. intelligence officials said the regime in Syria used chemical weapons against its own people. Syria, Russia, and Iran are now threatening to take action against anyone who attacks Syria, including the United States. But White House officials say we won't be backing down.
The answer is that if you gas a baby, if you put a barrel bomb in to innocent people, I think you will see a response from this president. That is unacceptable.
Well, many officials are still trying to decide what actions to take against Syria's President Bashar al-Assad. Others suggest letting the Syrian people decide for themselves.
United Airlines getting a lot of heat this morning. The criticism coming after a controversial video surfaced showing officers removing a passenger because he refused to give up his seat voluntarily.
Oh my God! Look at what you did to him! Oh my God!
The passenger forcibly removed from his seat by police, his head slammed against an armrest. Officials dragging him down the aisle while other passengers watched. The confrontation started because the man didn't want to give up his seat on his flight Sunday night bound for Louisville. He was leaving out of Chicago. United Airlines say they needed to get a 4-person crew on that flight and asked for volunteers, offering flight vouchers for anyone who would leave the flight. No one accepted. 4 passengers were randomly selected. The man in the video claims he's a doctor and did not want to give up his seat because he had to see patients.
One of the initial officers just said, are you willing to go through this? You're going to end up with a court record. Do you really want to, basically go through all of this trouble just to keep your seat? And he just said, I just don't think this is right.
Now, the United CEO took to Twitter calling the event upsetting and said they're conducting their own review, including reaching out to that passenger directly. The security officer involved in the incident has now been placed on leave. In a situation similar to this one, passengers can volunteer to take a later flight and be compensated for it. If there are no volunteers, as was the case here, crew members have the right to choose which passengers stay and which ones are forced to leave. Those are the rules written in the fine print. Now, when flying, you do have some rights, but when asked to get off the plane, that's where your rights are limited. You can't deny the voucher and request a check and be paid back for any extra cost. Another option, you could take the airline to court.
But sometimes it pays to negotiate. For one family, giving up their seats on a flight led to a huge payout worth thousands of dollars.
Already asking for volunteers, and I checked in that morning, and so we said, hey, if they give us more money, let's do it again. We walked away with $11,000 total.
Whoa, that was Laura Begley Bloom. She's a travel editor who had been planning on flying with her husband and daughter last Friday for a week-long vacation through Delta Airlines. Storms in the southeast led to hundreds of cancellations, leaving many families like hers stranded at airports across the country. But lucky for these flyers, they got offered big bucks to give up their seats after negotiating with the airlines. Then they did the same thing on Saturday and Sunday. Now let's take a look at our forecast with Erica.
Hey there, guys. Busy forecast this morning. Obviously, we've been tracking a cold front and continues to push through our viewing area. Here's what we're battling this morning. The good news is that the severe parts are just to the north of us, our viewing area, and we were monitoring one severe thunderstorm just to the south of our viewing area that has since then expired. But our atmosphere is still very unstable. We still have a lot of moisture to work with. That is why a severe thunderstorm watch is in effect until 7 a.m. as well as a flash flood watch. That's just giving you a heads up. Hey, our viewing area is likely, if a storm does develop, it could possibly produce a storm that could be severe and could cause heavy rainfall rates at this time. Do I think that's possible this morning? No, not very likely this morning, as that cold front has now mainly gone through the majority of our viewing area. We still have some gusty winds that we're seeing out there. Temperatures are definitely hot. It's muggy. Dew points are in the 60s, so we may still see some light sprinkles for your morning commute, so I'll be tracking what you guys can expect this morning. Really quick, here's your rush hour forecast. It's really just an overcast, guys. You can't rule out a sprinkle for your morning commute, but a mostly cloudy day is in store. I'm going to track a little bit better hour by hour, let you know what we can expect for the rest of our Tuesday and the rest of the work week. Guys, back to you.
Erica, thanks. Now, it is only the beginning of severe weather season around here, and if you don't have a garage or carport to protect your car from those Texas-sized hailstones, there's one product that might be the next best thing. Check it out. It's called the Hail Protector. A North Texas man created a giant inflatable cocoon that goes right around your vehicle to keep it safe from hail damage. It took him several years to design it. And after testing it out with softballs, a 5-pound medicine ball, and even 20-pound barbell weights, it was time to get his product out there.
It takes any size hail, any size that Mother Nature's been able to produce in the history of the world. A lot of people thought I was nuts. There's some people that still think I'm nuts. The people that live in hail-plagued areas, they don't care what it looks like, they just want it to work. And it does.
That's all that matters. The price on this now will vary based on the size of your car. It starts around $400 for the smaller vehicles.
Is it wrong that now I want popcorn? Because I'm thinking of a popcorn
It looked like
bag.
a big Jiffy Pop bag,
Yeah,
doesn't
it did.
Hey, if it works, it works. Save you some money.
I agree. Well, right now a hunt is underway for a man who's armed and dangerous.
That's right. What he wrote to President Donald Trump that has investigators believing he's capable of a deadly attack.
Plus, an elementary school in California will not open this morning after a deadly shooting yesterday. But we're learning about the man who shot his wife and 2 other children inside a classroom.